So the today what the program we are going to discuss on is, it is a program called based on a quadratic equation itself. What is the program here is, write a program to create a class, with data members A, B, C, D and member functions to input the data, compute the discriminant based on the following condition and print the given root. So what is the following condition over here? So as you all know, okay, wait a second. So what is the following condition here is, if the determinant if the determinant if the determinant is equals to 0, then you are going to say that roots are equal. If a determinant is equal to 0, then roots are equal. If the determinant is equal to 0, then roots are equal. So how we are going to find the determinant, whether the given determinant is equal or not? For that, we have a formula called as D is equals to B square. D is equals to B square minus 4 into A into C. Okay, the formula to find a determinant is this B square minus 4AC. So if D square minus 4AC gives you determinant as 0, then you are going to say that the roots, the given roots are equal. If the determinant is greater than 0, then what you're going to say, the root are real, or we can say that roots are positive. Roots are equal or roots are positive. So the first condition, what does the first condition say? The first condition tells that you should check your determinant. If the determinant is equals to 0, then you are going to say that the roots are equal. Then what is the second condition then? The second condition tells that if the given determinant is greater than 0, then we are going to say that the roots are real, or we can say that the roots are positive. Then the third condition tells you that if the determinant is lesser than 0, then we call the roots as imaginary. We call that roots are imaginary. This is what the condition is. So to get a roots for a base condition, to check the given things based on this based on the given condition is, you need to check the determinant with the following formula called as B square minus 4AC. B square minus 4AC. You all know that when we are going to square a number, we will get two types. One is positive root. Other one is, second one is negative root. Positive root and negative roots. So to find this positive root and negative root, we have a formula called as x is equals to minus b plus or minus square root of b square minus 4ac divided by 2a. So when you are going to use this formula, when your roots is greater than 0 or if your roots are lesser than 0, only at that time you are going to say that you are going to use your terms. Okay. So now what all the things we require to work on this sum? So we require the first main thing what we are going to require here is we require to compute the data. We require to input the following data. We need to input the following data. So what for input, what we are going to use? So for input, we are going to take coefficient. We are going to say coefficient A, B, C. Okay. Coefficient A, B, and C. So coefficient A, B, and C. So for this coefficient, we already said we need to check the roots. To check the roots, we have to take the input, one more input called as R1 and R2, because we have two roots. One is a real root, and other one will be imaginary. One is real and other one is imaginary. Okay. For this reason, what we are going to do, we are going to take two things. One is real and other one is imaginary. So now how we are going to proceed with the steps? Okay. So the first step is you are going to create a class. Create the class. So how we are going to create a class? We are going to create a class called as, before that, we are going to work on a linker sections called as iostream.h, math.h, conio.h, process.h, and standard lib, standard library.h. So process.h has been used to use because of the math.h formula, because we are going to use the square roots over here. For this reason, we are going to use the process.h, and we are going to use some of the keywords called as exit and different kinds of things. For that reason, we are going to use a process.h. Okay, stdlib, conio, math, and iostream.h. So okay, these are the linker section. Now we are going to create a class called as quadratic. Class called as we are going to create a class called as quadratic. Inside we have two axis specifiers. One is public, and other one is private. Okay, as the things given in your question that you should create a class with the data members called as A, B, C. So what we did, we have created data members called as A, B, C, and to find the roots, real root and imaginary root, we have taken two variables called as R1 and R2. Okay, then we have defined member function, declared a member function called as get data, root, and display. Void get data, void root, and void display. After this, from here the actual function starts. First, what we should do, you should take a input. To take a input, what we should give you, we should give we should give the coefficient. As I already discussed with you, we are going to take the coefficients in the get data function called as input function, which has entered the coefficient. So a comma b comma c, a b and c. Okay, now what you should do? Now you are going to check for the roots. Now what you are going to do? You are going to check for the roots. Okay, now what you're going to do, now say for the example, you're going to take your, say for the example, have taken your coefficient as 1, a is equals to 1, okay, b is equals to 2, and c is equals to 1. Take an example that have taken your input as, you have taken your input for the coefficient as a is equals to 1, b is equals to 1, b is equals to 2, and c is equals to 1. Okay, have taken our input as a is equals to 1, b is equals to 2, and c is equals to 1. Okay, so this is your input. This is your input. This is your input. Okay, so here you have taken our input as a equals to 1, b is equals to 2, and c is equals to 1. So now what you're going to do? So you are going to say double d. You are going to create a, you are going to create a data variable. You're going to create a variable with double double okay, wait a second. Double d is equals to, okay, what happens here is, here your calculation goes on. Now what calculation it goes on? Your calculation called as minus d is equals to minus b square minus 4ac divided by 2a. So how you are going to do now? Now you are going to say d is equals to b square means 2 into 2 b square minus 4 into 1 into 1. So what happens here? D is equal to 0. Means 2 2s are 4 minus 4 into 1 is 4. 4 minus 4 will be 0. Okay. Now what happens? Your D, wait a second, your the double D will be 0. Your double D will be 0. So now what you are going to do? You are going to check. You are going to check if D means, as you know, your D value is 0. 0 double equals to 0, which means that it is going to say the roots are real. What output you are going to get? You will get an output. Get the output. You will get an output called as D roots. Roots are equal. You get an output called as roots are equal. So now how we are going to do now? if roots are equal, then what we can say? We can say that R1, the root 1, real root and imaginary root are equal. We can say that the real root and imaginary root are equal. So how you are going to find the root then? Root R1, if the roots are equal, then R1 is equals to minus B divided by 2 into A, which means that minus B means your answer will be minus B ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ minus 2 minus 2. What we have taken? B for B we have taken 2 divided by minus 2 divided by 2 into 1, which is equals to minus 2 divided by 2, which is equals to answer is minus 1. So which means that you are going to get your answer called as the roots are equal, which minus 1, which means you are going to get the output called as roots are equal R1 is equals to R2 is equals to R1 is equals to minus 1, R2 is equals to minus 2. R2 is minus 2. This is how you are going to get if D is equal to 0. So if let us consider one more example where we are going to take a input. Okay, we are going to take a input called as 2 input A is equals to 2, B is equals to minus 3 and C is equals to 1. Okay, now what happens? Now again you are going to check double. D is equals to minus B plus or minus B square minus 4AC divided by 2A, which means that B square means minus of 3 3s are 9 minus 4 into 1, 4 minus 4 into A means it is equals to 2 into C means 2 into C means it is equals to 1. 9 minus 8, which is equals to 1. So now your D is equals to 1. Now it is going to check that if 1 is greater than 0, if 1 double equals to 0, which means that is false, okay. So what happens here? Now this will not get executed. So now this part will not get executed, because when this part gets executed, only when your D is equal to double equal 0, only then this part will get executed. Okay, the next one is else. Now what you're going to do? Now you're going to check whether your D is greater than or less than 0. If D is greater than 0 or if D is less than 0. Now what you're going to do? Now you're going to say check that if 1 greater than 0. If 1 is greater than 0, then you're going to say that roots are positive and different. So what you're going to say? You are going to say that your roots are positive and different. So for this we are going to apply your the formula called as minus b plus square root of d divided by 2 into a. So what you're going to do, if 1 is greater than 0, then what you're going to do, you're going to find the square root for this. Okay, you're going to find the roots for this. You're going to find the root for this. Okay, so root 1, which is equals to, and again you're going to find one more root, called as minus b minus square root of b square minus 4ac. So when you find this, you will get an answer called as first root as r1 is equals to 1, okay, and r2 is equals to 0.5. R2 is equals to 0.5. So if roots are not the, if for example you get your 1 d as minus 1, so you are going to check that if minus 1 double equals to 0, then again what happens, it becomes false. So what you're going to do, you're going to check that minus 1 is greater than 0, again what becomes false. So what happens then? Then you are going to just print, roots are imaginary. You're going to just print roots are imaginary. You're going to just print the roots are imaginary, and you're going to come out of the loop, and you're going to print first root and second root for to display the different roots which is present in your in a list. Okay, next you're going to write the main function where you're going to create an object for a class quadrat q, clear screen, q dot get data, q dot root, q dot display, and get ch. Finally you're going to end up the program. This is your program, how we are going to work on a imaginary roots. How we are going to work on a imaginary roots. So now let us check that program once. Hope you understood this. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this program and I'm going to show you how we are going to get the answer. So you understood about the logic. Here, if you get an error, so if you get an error one, you make an error in this, you are going to remove the single semicolon out there. At that time you will get an error. Other thing, if the function what you have written, member function inside the class and outside definition must be same. If it is not proper, then again you are going to get the errors. Like that you are going to get the errors. Okay. Then a semicolon mistakes, or if you have not used square roots, when you are going to use the square root, then if you have not used math.h, so at that time you are going to get errors. Okay. So this is how your program gets work. So hope you understood this program, how it is going to work. So now I'm going to debug this program. I'm going to show you F9. F9. There is no errors. So control F9. Enter the cofactors. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to enter the cofactor. So what it gave me, that it says that the roots are equal, and the first root and second root is equal. So again, I'm going to run this program again. I'm going to show you. Now what I'm going to give, I'm going to give a imaginary root. So 2 minus 2 and 1. So what did happen? Here the roots are imaginary. Why the roots are imaginary? Because it is the d is equals to minus 1. For this reason the roots are imaginary. Again I'm going to run this program for positive roots. Okay, 2 minus 3 and 1. Here roots are positive and different, and the roots, the first root is 1 and second root is 0. So the first factor gives you the get data, and the calculation is done in void roots, and finally you are going to get the result. This is how a quadratic equation sum works. How a quadratic equation sum works. Understood? Hope you understood this.